Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. And Formula E got underway this weekend, well, today, from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and it was a chaotic one. 2 red flags, last year's champion upside down. A lot of cars did not make it to the end of this race. It was pretty manic stuff. I have things I don't like about it, and that is mostly still attack mode, but we didn't see any of the stupid slipstreaming we've seen at other races. And we saw some overtaking. There was a lot of contact here. It was a good race. It was messy, but it was exciting. It did keep you guessing. Attack mode, for me, is just ruining this series because without it, I think this would have been a fantastic race. With it, it made a very chaotic but exciting race needlessly burdened with it. This race would have been good with or without attack mode. It adds nothing. And occasionally it takes away quite a lot. Not necessarily today, but there have been examples of other races where attack mode has essentially ruined everything. But forgetting attack mode for a minute, this race was very, very good. We had a very, very bad day at the office for Andretti. Nico Müller got taken out very early on in contact with Jake Hughes, which it was neither of their fault, it was just a racing incident. But then, obviously, we saw Jake Dennis break down and cause the first red flag, all because his car was in a red state and couldn't be touched. That's a problem with electric motorsport. It's obviously has a lot of safety restrictions around what you can and can't do. There's a reason why electric racing is going extinct very quickly, especially with what happened in the World Rallycross with the fire a couple of years ago. We've now seen other series disappear. Extreme E's gone. Nitro Cross most recently has gone. One I've not really mentioned up till now because I genuinely forgot it existed was Trophy Andros, which went all electric and died pretty much straight away. I've seen articles blaming it on climate change, but Trophy Andros for years has had issues with rising costs and dwindling interest, and it always had there's always going to be a point where if that continues, your series isn't going to last. And they called it last year that was going to be the final one, and it was. They haven't come back to it. So that's another electric series dead and gone. Even hybrid, we're seeing race series move away from it. And Extreme E, Formula E, really is the last great bastion of electric motorsport. This and Scandinavian touring cars, which, as I've said in another video, is absolutely abysmal to watch. And frankly, there really isn't that much else out there. Next Gen Cup would be possibly the second best electric racing series. But Formula E does seem to manage. It does have its charms. It's generally always exciting and it keeps you guessing. It is, of course, recognised as a World Series. There are some very big names in this, ex-Formula 1 drivers, but even the likes of Zane Maloney, he's come from Formula 2. He's a big deal. He was a very good driver with a bright future. He's someone, as I said in my preview video, prediction video, I could see in a Formula 1 seat in a few years. But he's instead taken a sideways step to Formula E. It'll be interesting to see what he can do here. As will Taylor Barnard, who was an incredible driver in Formula 3. Really, you just saw some really big races from him. And even when he came into Formula 2, you saw good things from him. He took a win. He's left early, gone to Formula E, and in his first full-time race seat has got a podium with McLaren, ahead of Sam Bird as well, his teammate. That's a brilliant result for him. The second red flag was for a very messy incident involving Nick Cassidy, Maximilian Günther and Pascal Wehrlein. 3 of the best drivers in this series. They all arrived at the same place at the same time. Günther got forced into the wall. Again, racing incident, there was just not enough space for 3 cars. That damaged Nick Cassidy, who caught Pascal Wehrlein, who went upside down into the wall. A very scary looking incident. It brought out a red flag. Pascal Wehrlein looks to be okay. And it's already like a massive dent to his title hopes, retaining that title. But also for Nick Cassidy and Maximilian Günther, 2 drivers you expect good things from. They also did not score points here. Wehrlein did at least score 3 for being on pole. Van Dorn was another one who I bigged up in my predictions video, and he did not score points. He only finished 11th, and we barely saw him Oliver Rowland was leading at one point, but dropped down to 14th after a penalty, so he didn't score points. A lot of big names did not score points in this race. As I mentioned, Jake Dennis as well was out of the race. And so that leaves this with... We've left Sao Paulo not really answering the question of who's going to be in contention this year, which is not surprising for Formula E. Mitch Evans took the win, his 13th in Formula E. He is now level with Lucas Di Grassi and Sebastian Buemi with 13 wins, the most ever in Formula E. And I can see him breaking 14 before they do, because Lucas Di Grassi hasn't won for 2 years, and I don't think Sebastian Buemi's won for 5, or coming on 5 years. No, it must be 5 years since he last won a race in Formula E. I don't think that's going to change this year, somehow. It was a great drive from Mitch Evans from the back. Of course, he qualified last and managed to get through to first with a lot of help from flags and incidents, and a lot went on to help him, but he did do a lot of overtaking on his own. Attack mode helps that sort of thing as well. It kind of takes away from this being if you did it in Formula 1, it's a massive deal because DRS can help you, but it doesn't help you like attack mode helps. And it all plays out. It's worked out great for Mitch Evans here. Antonio Felix da Costa in second, another brilliant drive from him. He is always generally up there, but he had too many races where things happened to him, or he just didn't get in the points last year. If he can change that this year, this is a great start, and he could be one to watch for the championship. Mahindra did not do as bad a job as I thought they would. I said they would barely score any points this year, and already they've had a 5th and a 7th place, so I've pretty much screwed up my predictions. Dan Tickton for Kiro gets their first point as Kiro, so that's a great result for them, really. That's kind of where you expect them to finish, but in the first race of the year, they've got to hope that they can keep that up and have a really strong year scoring points. And they're not really going to be championship competitors, but for Kiro, just scoring points is a good result right now. And for Dan Tickton, this was another brilliant drive, and he has had a few of them in Formula E for a team that doesn't score a lot of points. So I think Dan Tickton deserves a drive with one of the big teams eventually, and this was another performance that proves it. And I saw good things from Zane Maloney as well, and even David Beckman. He had his issues, but he finished the race technically. So the young drivers that are coming through, it looks like it's only made the field stronger, and this does look like a very strong field. I don't really have too much more to say about this. It was an absolutely balmy race, but I did very much enjoy watching it. It had some very interesting moments, but even though there was a lot of contact, there wasn't any real damaging contact. The crashes that happened in this race were they were race incidents. They weren't people being malicious and losing control and taking other people out. They really were just 2 cars arriving at the same place and bad things happening. It was neither of the really big incidents were anyone's fault. So the driving standard isn't bad, but there were a lot of retirements in this race. There were a few penalties for overpowering and whatnot, but generally it was a very good clean start to Formula E. It was some great racing. It was very exciting. I'm very happy Mitch Evans won, because obviously I picked him to be my champion again. Hopefully he continues this throughout the year, and we finally see the Kiwi take the title. So with that, make sure you subscribe for more motorsport content. Tomorrow will be the final Formula 1 review for 2024 from Abu Dhabi. And honestly, the Formula 2 was very exciting. F1 Academy was decent. So I'm hoping the final Grand Prix of the year will be an absolute banger. Beyond that, we got loads of stuff starting in 2025. I'll be doing a weekend roundup next week, probably on Tuesday, because we've had quite a few different race series ending, but we've also got a couple starting. And beyond that, there'll be plenty of content coming out. And so with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you enjoy this Formula E race? Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.